Welcome to School's Out 80s Comedy Story Time. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of School's Out 80s Comedy Storytime. I got a couple special guests coming to us all the way from Chicago. Alex Corona and Jamie Burks. Say hello to everybody at School's Out 80s.
Hey everybody, so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having us here, John.
Oh, absolutely, man. Just to hear your Chicago accent is going to make my whole week.
A lot of people always tell me about my Chicago accent. I don't hear it, but everybody always says like, "Oh, this guy."
Oh my God, it's fantastic. I mean, it's like Sopranos. It's awesome.
Really cool.
That's awesome.
It's an awesome accent. It's fun. Okay, so we're going to deviate a little bit from how I normally run the show. It's all about comedy on School's Out 80s Comedy Story Time, but you guys are a couple, so we got to know, how did you guys meet?
Well,
let them know.
Well, it was, I've known Alex since we were in our teenage years. And I think, what the kids call it is we started out as friends with benefits.
Yeah.
And
I see. Okay.
to be very, very honest. And then we actually, we connected in our early 20s, and that's when we actually became a couple, and we started living together. And at that time, I had just recently got a real estate license, and then the market crashed. And Alex is the one who
The question was, how did we meet?
We were friends, like I said, in the same town, and
So I'll tell you how we met.
Okay, there you go.
So Jamie was friends with one of my girlfriends, and
Okay.
I threw a big Halloween party at her friend's house, and Jamie was a manager at Blockbuster at the time. You remember Blockbuster, right? And yeah. So she was the manager of Blockbuster. She did inventory.
That ages me. Blockbuster Video. That ages me.
So yeah, we had a big party at her house, and I knew Jamie. I went to grade school with her, but I didn't know Jamie. So she shows up to the party at like 5 a.m. after she had to do inventory for Blockbuster. And,
Okay.
And we used to go to this club that didn't even open until 5 a.m. It was called it was an after hours club, and they were open from like 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. And I was heading there, and I was like, "Hey, Jamie, you want to come with? We're going to this club." And I think you came, right?
You know what? I think it was a different night, but I'm just like, let you go with it.
Okay.
At any rate, Alex ended up getting my phone number, and the rest was history.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys knew each other as teenagers, but then when you got in your early 20s, you reunited?
Yeah.
Well, we were like, we knew each other, but when we, we're about 20 years old, we started to be friends with benefits.
Okay, all right. Well, you know what? That's awesome.
We're still friends with benefits. We're not married, so yeah, we're still friends with benefits.
Okay. Hey, you know what? All good. Yeah. So that's so any funny stories can you think of? Like, you guys went to grade school together. Any funny stories from grade school?
Well, I wouldn't really say we were in school together.
Okay.
I do a whole lot.
Didn't know if you ever saw any kids eat glue or chew on crayons.
He did a little schooling in his earlier years. He does more schooling now than he did when he was young.
My regrets, that would be definitely one. Is I wish I would have stayed in school. I wish I would have learned. I wish I was already there. I might as well got some benefit out of it. I was too cool for school at the time, and now I regret it. And now, like Jamie said, I live a learning-based living. I crave knowledge. Now it's Yeah, now
No, it's all good. It's all good. But like when you guys were in grade school, because you had to go to grade school, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Did you ever see any kids eat crayons or so, sometimes they eat glue or one of the kids will put glue in somebody's hair. That's always fun.
Yeah, I think I saw some kid dared some other kid to lick the bottom of a kid's shoe.
Okay, all right.
Or shit on the bottom of it. Who knows? Who knows?
All right. Hey, all good, all good.
I've seen that. That was odd. But so that was funny. I think that my funniest memories with you, Alex, wouldn't even go until like the birth of my second child, when I almost literally had this baby on the beach. That would probably be my first one. Can you recall anything?
Oh my gosh, really?
I'll tell you a quick story about when I was a kid. This kid, pretty annoying kid in class, I still remember. And one of the, I guess would say, one of the kids that was fed up put some gum in his hair. So he was like, dude, I'm so sick of this kid. He literally put gum in his hair. And the next day, we were laughing about it. We're like, oh, I wonder, they're going to cut it. They're going to have to cut his hair off. There's no way he's going to show up to school and he's going to be bald.
Sure.
He came to school. They just cut out the piece where the gum was at. And he literally had like a bald spot the whole rest of the year. They never even cut it off.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Shaved off.
Yeah, that was another time.
Somebody got their eyebrows shaved off. He told me. I was not a part of that.
Yeah.
That was
so.
Okay.
Parties and with your friends, and the first one to go to sleep always gets it. I mean that's for sure.
Oh my gosh, that's true.
Yeah. So they shaved off one of his eyebrows. I think they drew like a penis on his head, and they drew eyes, on his eyelids. And he had that. He walked around with it for a couple of weeks before he realized that every time he closed his eyes, people would laugh, but they never told him, "Hey, you got marker on your eyelid." And
oh my God, that's excellent.
At sleepovers, I don't ever hear about that kind of stuff these days.
Yeah, you're right. I have.
Oh, Jamie, yeah. Any sleepovers like you girls like? What do you put bras in freezers and stuff? Am I right on that?
I never heard of that one.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
What is that about?
I was too busy shotgunning beers when your friends were putting bras in freezers.
Yeah, I think that I remember we always heard about if you put somebody's hand in hot water while they're sleeping, that they pee themselves. So like that was tried, but it never worked. I mean, that was.
Oh, didn't it? Okay.
Oh, yeah, no. Back to these bras in the freezer. What is that about? Wow. What do you do with that?
You know what? That was never done to me.
I never heard about that.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, when we get out of the show, you're gonna have to Google that because it's a thing.
Yeah.
Wow. So what? You put it on frozen or like what is this?
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna have to Google that. That was never done to me, and I don't think I've ever been a part of that.
I never heard of that one.
Okay. Yeah. Well. I never got to have a female sleepover. Unfortunately, I tried to get, my parents I couldn't get the buy-in.
Yeah. Hey, let me know if you.
Me and all my favorite girlfriends from high school, I could not get the buy-in. I tried.
Yeah. That'd be a good party.
It would be a good party.
That's one you don't want to miss. That's for sure.
Yeah, I would have done their hair.
Trooper, be a trooper.
Okay, so I'll tell you guys a grade school story of mine. So I think I was like maybe in 6th grade. When girls are just starting to wear bras, I think that's like 5th and 6th grade. I'm thinking, I don't know. Well, anyway, I'm kind of an artist. And so I took out my ballpoint pen and this girl was like a good friend of mine. And, I was sitting behind her in the little chairs or whatever. And I took out my ballpoint pen and I outlined her bra on her white shirt. Do you think her mom was real happy about that?
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, call it boredom, ADD, ADHD. I don't know. I don't even know how I got away with it. I never got in trouble, though. I mean, I think she just put on a sweater after that. What's that?
I said, must have been a cool girl. She didn't tell on you.
Yeah, she liked you.
No, I mean, yeah, we had uniforms on, so I'm sure she just like gave it to her mom. What happened there? Yeah, I don't know, but I had kind of forgotten about that. But yeah, I was a bit mischievous when I was younger. Get away with what you can get away with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Stay in the gray area.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is a question I love to ask. and we're going to get into some really funny stories. I want to hear that story about on the beach having a baby, but I want to ask this. So any blind dates, either of you, like when you were in like school or, you know, got out of school, or that your friend set you up with, that it wasn't like your idea, but you're just going to be nice and go out with them?
Not me. I haven't had any blind dates. I've been, you know, me and Jamie have been together like 24 years or something now. So it's.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay. All good.
We're taking it slow. We're taking it slow. You know, still friends with benefits, taking it slow.
Just got to make sure you're the right one.
Yeah, we're still trying to make sure here.
I was terrible. I was never a dater. I never dated really too much. And
oh, you didn't? All good. All good.
Dater. Yeah, I just was not.
Jamie's a hard worker.
So evidently, you guys have primarily dated yourselves, and both of you can see, so you've never had a blind date.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I had a friend that actually, she used to go on a lot of dates, and then so she changed her phone number a lot, because like she would go on a date and then she's like, yeah, I don't like him, and then he would like call her and she didn't want to be mean, so she just changed her number. She's constantly changing her number all the time because she just didn't want to have that conversation because she felt
interesting. Okay, hey, that works. You know what? Okay, so you got to hear the story about having the baby on the beach.
Okay, so I didn't actually have him on the beach, but I thought that was that may have happened.
It was as close as
it was very close. No one told me, to make a very long story short, nobody told me that your second child comes out faster. And I remember waking up that morning. It was Labor Day weekend, go figure. But we woke up that morning and we went to the beach. Alex, we have a boat and we take people, to, you know, our friends tubing, their kids tubing. So we went to the beach, and I knew I was feeling some sort of discomfort, but everything I kept Googling, Google can be the devil at times. We were just Googling things and Googling it like, when do I go to the hospital? And they're like, well, don't go too early because you're going to sit there and it's just going to be a waste of time, or they're going to send you home. So I said, okay, fine, I'll go with. So I went with, and also being in a small amount of water, like sitting in an inner tube, apparently that enhances the whole labor thing. I didn't realize that either. So after it was about probably 3:00 in the afternoon or so, I got up from like sitting in an inner tube in the water, and I was like, whoa, like I'm having a hard time walking. Like this is like, so then I looked at my friend's mom and I was like, can you have someone drop me off at the hospital? Like, I don't even care if you just drop me off. I know there's a lot of people here having fun and they're on a boat. And she was like, you don't look good. So she's like, Alex, she's got to go. So
well, I was out on the boat.
He was out on the boat.
So they called me and they're like, yeah, she's ready. She's ready. She's having the baby. I'm like,
oh my God.
I never make a big deal out of anything. So Alex, feeling like he had all the time in the world, he's like, let me just get the boat in. We'll get the last tuber in. And then I'm going to go ahead and dock the boat and hook it up to my truck. And like, by this time, I'm like, I don't think I can walk anymore. So they drove this little sand buggy onto the sand to pick me up so I can get on the little dune buggy thing, golf cart thing. And then he drives me to Alex, who finally got the boat attached. They're like, Alex, you have to go. You have to go. But I still wasn't like at that like 911. Just
even before I got the boat out, everybody was like, Alex, just go. We got all this.
Oh my God.
And so, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, oh, we got you. I was going to get the hospital all night.
Were you pulling the boat into the hospital when Jamie was having the baby?
So it gets better. Hold on.
So we got into the car. And I was like starting to do the like the stuff you see on the movies. So I was like, oh my gosh. And then a really good friend of ours, Angela, who was in the second row, and he's like singing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, just get me to the hospital. So he's
just
stops.
Always happy, and he's singing songs.
Yeah. So like,
about. Yeah, making stuff up about the pain and about the baby. And
so Alex actually, there was a police officer that was behind us. So at a stoplight, he got out of the truck and he was like, look, he's like, my girlfriend's in labor. Can you help us get to Christ Hospital? Which is typically about like a 30-minute drive from where we were. And they turned on the sirens, escorted us there to the hospital. And to just kind of give you an idea, from the moment I arrived at the parking lot till the baby was completely out of my body was just short of like about 40 minutes. So that baby was like, I was asking for the drugs, but I was like, give me my epidural. And they were like, we just got to get you logged in. And I'm like, this is weird. They keep telling me I have to get registered. And I knew it in my mind. I'm like, it's too late. They're not giving me these drugs. So I had a natural birth. And when my water broke and they rushed me down to the delivery room, it was 6 minutes and he was out of my body crying and all good.
Oh,
the doctor didn't put his gloves on. He was like, hold on.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, what's that baby's name?
Well, his name is Antonio because that was
I like it.
So his name is Antonio, and a ball of happiness. He really is.
Yeah, it was pretty funny because, like Jamie said, there was a cop in the front. He called one of his buddies, and now there's one in the back, and we're hauling down. I'm towing this boat down to the hospital, and got the baby in the car.
That he couldn't even get out of the car with me because he had to park the boat in the truck. So Angelo, our good friend, went up with me, and they kept congratulating Angelo, and he was very emotional, thinking that he was the father, but he wasn't. Like, he's not the father. He's my
They kept
friend.
telling him, congratulations. I'm outside trying to park the car, and I got some more friends in the car, and finally I park the car and I come inside. He's bawling. I mean, completely crying. He's just and everyone's telling him, congratulations, and he's like, oh, I'm not the father. And he's losing it. And
I was then known as all the nurses came in. They said, "Were you the mom that rushed to the hospital, almost had the baby on the beach, and I still had sunglasses on top of my head when I delivered?" So.
Oh my God, that is a good story. Wow, you guys, that is a great story.
5 minutes after this baby's born, right? So just like we got into the room, the doctors didn't even have enough time to put the gloves on. The baby's coming out, and like 5 minutes after this baby's born, she's back on the phone closing deals. She's like, "Yeah, but," and like
good for you, Jamie.
And walking around the room, like I'm like, "Girl, sit down.
When they don't give you the epidural, like you are like ready. You're like, I'm ready to go home. Like I had an epidural with my first one, and they got it because you have no feeling in your from your waist down, and it's get you going again. But this time, when they don't give you any drugs, you're like, all right, let's go home.
Yeah, literally.
Okay. So I got a question.
Oh.
Yes.
So when you got to the hospital, how was the bilge pump?
I'm sorry. How was what?
The
bilge pump? No, I'm sorry. It's a part of a boat. I was just making a joke.
That's what I thought it was. That's what I said. Is this boat?
You're like, what the hell is he talking about? But like, if you have a speedboat, bilge pump goes out. Not bueno.
Oh,
gotcha, I thought that's what you were talking about. Like,
I think it keeps the boat cooled down. I'm always worried. We boat, and I'm always worried about the bilge pump.
Gotcha.
But I thought it was just kind of an off-the-wall thing to ask. But since the boat was there, I was wondering about the bilge pump.
Yeah, I had to find a parking spot for it. It was a mess, but we made it.
Man, that is a great story. Like trailering a boat before getting to and Jamie is an understanding woman.
Oh, you have no idea. Oh, yes. And then the best part is the next day, we bring her home from the hospital, and I go inside. I open the doors and I'm turning on the lights, and I'm running back out to get the kids. She's got one kid in one arm and the other one in the carrier. I'm like, what are you doing? You just had a baby like the day before.
Oh my gosh. So was Antonio number 3, number 4?
2. He's
number 2 for me. We have.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you guys said that. Okay. Yeah. I got a learning disability. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so that was 2.
It's like me. I literally forget everything. If I don't write it down, you can forget about it. I gotta write it down.
No, that's interesting though. My first was Brian Anthony, so Anthony runs in our family. My grandfather was Anthony Sansone.
Wow.
Okay, cool.
Now that sounds
from Sicily. So well, that's good. It sounds like you guys probably have some other like children's stories, like you're in the midst of a growing family. Anything else funny happen, like, taking them to school or after school or with one of their little friends or something crazy they said?
Oh, they say a lot of crazy things.
Kids say the craziest stuff. Yes. Well, you guys are thinking about that. I'll tell a story about my oldest. So I went in the bathroom one morning, I think because they took the hairdryer. Like, it's crazy that they take our hairdryer, but what they do, we buy them hair dryers and they break them. Then they go in, like I buy them each a hairdryer. First, how it works is the one son will take the other son's after he breaks his hairdryer, then he'll take his brother's hairdryer and break it. And then after they've broken their 2 hair dryers, they come in our bathroom. So at some point I have to go to their bathroom and get my hair dryer to dry my little bit of hair. And, but the funny thing I'm telling you though, is I look in the bathtub and what do you think? No, I probably shouldn't, but, I'll ask it anyway. What do you think might be floating in the bathtub? And I'll just say it's not human related, but what do you think might be floating in the bathtub?
I don't know.
If you guys can picture this, Like I had to tell my, what's that?
I said maybe a bottle of lube.
Right. No, literally a white bowl with milk in it and cereal and a spoon.
Oh my goodness.
My guy was taking a bath with a bowl floating in there, having his breakfast. Didn't finish his breakfast and left the bowl of cereal to float.
Talk about habit stacking. That's how you do it.
There you go.
That's how you get it done.
Yeah, I mean, just you don't have time to eat, so I'll take a bath and eat it the same. I was just like, God, it was funny. I grabbed my wife and said, "You got to see this." I mean, stuff that happens in our family.
Hey,
so cute.
That's good.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's see right there.
Kind of wild. Any of their little friends come over and say anything inappropriate?
Yeah, Alex coached baseball for a very long time, so
okay,
he still coaches baseball. Yes.
Yeah.
But with the older one, you'd get I think maybe they just think we're cool parents or something like that, and then we're not their moms, so they would drop the F-bombs here and there.
So I got a kid. Yeah, he I'm driving. I pick him up. We called it the I got an Escalade and they called it the Escabang bus. They always used to call it. And then I'd be driving around and picking them all up. And we picked this kid up and he gets into the back seat and literally I start to drive away and he's like, he's screaming, F, as loud as he can and over and over. And I'm like, holy, what happened? Did I run somebody over? Like,
are you okay?
So I turned around and I'm like, his name was Matthew. I'm like, Matthew, what happened? And he's like, oh man, coach, he's like, I've been holding that in for a couple of weeks. He's like, I had to get it out. He's like, my mom doesn't let me swear. I was like, holy cow. And then the worst part is, you
got Tourette's syndrome in the back of your Escalade.
Oh, you have no idea. But then the, one of the other kids, and then that mom is like, oh, I can't believe you would say that. My little Johnny never swears. And I'm thinking to myself, like, he's the worst one. Like, of course I don't tell him.
That's funny.
This kid's the worst one. All he does is swear. Like, but I almost crashed the car. And I was like, what happened? Yeah. My goodness.
That's good. I like that. I can relate. I was a Boy Scout leader for 7 years. Really so I saw kids do a lot of crazy crap when they got away from their parents. But that reminds me of a story. So like back when my boys were little, they had one of those little police cars, like a Tiny Tykes police car or whatever with the little black wheels, and you get in it and you just push each other around on it or whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, one of them ran over the other one's finger with it. And the one that got his finger ran over went running. And what's great about this was my mom was there. My stepdad was there. And it happened to my oldest. And I mean, he dropped so many F-bombs in a row in such a short period of time. And to see my mom's face was just priceless. She was just like, it was just priceless just to see it all. It was, I mean, I got to be honest. I'm a little liberal with the F-bombs myself. I don't hold it back.
It's one of the things that especially me coaching baseball, I teach technical. Yeah. And I've seen kids how they are, and that's like one of the first things that they do is lie about swearing. They start lying to their parents. All the kids swear. There's not one. That's like one of the cool things that they think it's cool. Hey, I'm scared. And
hold on one second, guys.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. So how old's your oldest?
19. Yeah.
Okay. So you have a 19-year-old. Wow. And then your youngest is how old?
6.
Okay. Well, that's cool. So does the 19-year-old babysit the 6-year-old?
And the 9-year-old. So they're like best friends. These guys. It's like
my kid. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. He takes care of them like they're his. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, he's a good kid. I got very blessed.
Yeah. Okay. Do your kids play a lot of video games?
Yes, they play games. I play with them. I try.
Yeah.
Last couple of nights, we stayed up. Well, didn't stay up, but we played when we got home. I kind of try to meet them where they're at. That way.
Yeah.
Because they don't care what the hell I got going on. They only care about their own little world. So I try to integrate myself in there as much as possible. They're usually here.
Yeah.
At their godmother's house. She doesn't live far away. But,
okay.
Same reason. We know they've been running past here, running behind us, and
sure.
And so we figured, hey, we'll leave them there. We'll pick them up after. But we just had lunch with them a little while ago. We picked them up from school, had lunch with them, and dropped them off. But I try to incorporate as much as I can, integrate family. That way it doesn't feel like we're at work all the time. If they're here, they're helping out around here. They help clean, and they just filled a whole bunch of envelopes, Christmas cards, stuff like that. Anything I could get them to help out.
We took them with, we were having an open house at one of the houses that we own. And we took them with on a Saturday night to put our signs out, or Friday night to put our signs out. And they went down the one block with the 19-year-old, and
they went door knocking.
They went
door knocking. When we went to put the signs up, they went out door knocking.
Yeah, they put the door hangers on the doors and things, and then we said, "Well, meet us down at the house, and then we'll come pick you up from there." So we're pulling up to the house, and Alex has got his video out there, like content, like, okay, the kids are all helping us out and everything. And literally, he's like, "How'd it go, guys?" And the 9-year-old comes around. He's like, "I got diarrhea," and he's got it on Facebook. Like, oh my gosh! We're like, so we just started laughing. I thought you were live. No.
Oh my God, that is fun. So, how old's the little guy that had diarrhea?
9.
So that one, it was 9. So we have 6, 9, and 19, 3 total. The oldest is my stepson. So actually, that was yes. But the 9-year-old.
So he's literally running with the runs, is what you're telling me.
That's what he said. Yep.
I'm like, "Hey, how'd everything go?" He's like, "I got diarrhea," and he's like running to the car. Like, I guess
that's great.
Yeah. So, but like I said, we try to integrate them and help them. Yeah. Get them.
So I got a family story to share. So my parents, my granddad bought a business in the 60s, actually. And I actually got to see the ledgers from the 60s, because my mom, when we were moving her out of her house and selling her house, because she moved into like assisted living. I know it's crazy, but it happens. I was looking at all this stuff, and I found the ledger that my granddad had of the 60s, that literally in that ledger showed how much my dad was making at the time, because my dad worked for my granddad in his business. Also showed the money that my granddad was sending to my uncle, and my uncle was in on a aircraft carrier in Vietnam.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, but what was I? But anyway, I kind of wanted to share that my parents had their own business, and then my dad fully took it over in the 70s, and then we owned it until my dad passed, until my mom took it over and sold it. What's that?
What kind of business?
So it was a 2-story flower shop, so much bigger than like a flower shop that you normally see. They did a lot of antiques. They did a lot of weddings. They did a lot of big parties. And they tended to, so like a lot of flower shops are like tiny in a strip mall or whatever. This was a freestanding building. So we got a nice little chunk of change when we finally sold the building. It was in Missouri. But like when I was a kid, and even like grade school, middle school, when the holidays hit at the flower shop, they needed workers. And so I was working by like, I don't know, 8, 9 years old, going in and helping them and working. And then, even at a really young age, we didn't have like a modern statement system. And so people that charged without a credit card, we sent bills out. And so we had like a system where the whole family sat around the dining room table, and we took all the bills, and we had like, this is a copy of the bill that we're sending to somebody. It wasn't elaborate. And then we mailed them all out, and we had to like fold them all and stamp them all, and we did bulk mail because my dad wanted to save money, but we did that kind of stuff as a family, like every single month. Like we did constantly stuff as a family for the business. And like when I was a kid, we hardly ever ate out unless we were working, and then they would bring food in and we would eat at the business or whatever. So that's kind of how I grew up. But just because like you guys own your own business, and evidently, your family's really involved in the business. So I was just sharing that because I can relate. But with the statement thing, I got to tell you about my brother. So my brother did not do well in like school. He had health issues, and he missed a lot. So he really had a hard time like passing school. But when he got older and he went into business with my dad, he could not only tell you everybody that owed us money, he could tell you their exact address down to the zip code of anybody that owned us. Even if it was $50, my brother could tell you, you know, Sue Smith, she lives at blah, 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 blah. She owes us $50.28 and hasn't paid for 3 months. Like, he had a photographic memory of people that owed us money.
That's how you do it. Most people know the stats of the players. That's the real stats you need to learn. Who owes
I know. It was so impressive. Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I always got a kick out of that.
We a joke around here as well, because she remembers every address. That's how she is. It's like, oh, you could tell her a client's name and she's like, oh, I'm like, dude, you're sick. Like, something's wrong with you.
Okay, so Jamie, you remember addresses real well?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's cool.
Yes.
Well, that helps in real estate, I'm thinking.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of them. I'm like, I barely could get home to my own house, let alone somebody else's. I'm driving around.
Yeah.
Everybody knows, you get in the car with me, you will be turning around at least once. I mean, I pass it up. I'm thinking too much. It's too much going on all the time. And I'm just like, oh, I'll drive right past it. They're like, yeah, I'm like, oh, it's like my theme song.
Right.
It's like
all good.
All day. Just turning around.
Well, that's my wife. She remembers crazy dates, like, you know, when it happened. But I can remember what we ate. Like, I can't remember like what year it was. She could tell you, oh yeah, I think that was like May of 2015. You remember, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, where were we? And she's like, well, we went to such and such and so and so. And I'm like, yeah, and I had chicken cordon bleu and asparagus. Like, you know, like my information is invaluable.
Yeah,
that's amazing. I have to write it down. I'll forget. I gotta write it down. I gotta have my whole team remind me on top of it, because I will.
Oh, you know what? It's all good, Alex. All good.
I have no idea. Yeah, my head should be fried to a crisp.
Well, you guys do a lot of juggling over there. So I got to ask, like, back in the day, as you guys were dating, did you guys ever go to a concert in Chicago together?
Any concerts? Maybe a B-Bash or something?
We went to we're a group, not just one person at a concert, like a group of people together. I don't remember. You know,
we for a long time, we didn't do too much of anything but just work. You know, it was years. I mean, we didn't go on vacation for 10, 11, maybe 15 years. I don't even know, but it was a lot.
Okay. Hey, man, I respect that.
But now it's it's a blessing. We're able to pick up and go and time out of town, weeks at a time. Last month we were gone more than half the month, so it's a blessing. You know, we had to put the work in to get to this point.
Absolutely, you did.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how we were when I was a Boy Scout leader. See, every year the Boy Scouts have gone downhill, but when I was doing it, it was like really good, and we would have to go to scout camp, and scout camp would be like in Colorado or in New Mexico, and I made my wife a leader, and so she would come with us, really like cool. For the whole week at the Boy Scout camp. She was like a junior leader, and they saw it all as I'm getting involved in their life, and I saw it all as a very inexpensive vacation. Like the whole family were getting to go to and I was a leader, so they paid my way, and they also paid me they paid my miles. And so not only did I go for free for the week, but I also they paid my gas mileage to get there. So I definitely know about sacrifice. We've kind of been the same road. They'd always ask me for something, and I'd always be like, yeah, I don't think so. I'm paying the house off. And, we're not doing club this and club that and club that and club that. What we are going to do, we did all the sports stuff, but we didn't. Oh, which brings up a good item to ask. Any of the kids, have any funny events with either their soccer or baseball or anything that you guys can recall?
Baseball.
I guess got to be something.
Anybody
get hit in the face with the baseball not paying attention?
Oh, that's happened plenty of times. Yeah,
I think so.
I mean, we were very, I'm a very aggressive baseball coach. I like it. I have my guys just run like crazy. I mean, you get on base, we're stealing every pitch. We're going to score on you you just let me get a guy up there.
Awesome.
I actually got kicked out of a game for scoring too many points. So
oh, that's stupid.
It was, and it would happen constantly where the other team would literally walk off the field. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it would be like the second inning and we'd be winning like 30-2. And yeah, they just, my kids are having a blast. And
yeah,
I got kicked out of a game because we were, like I said, the umpire literally came up to me. He's like, if you guys score any more points, I'm kicking you out. And I was like, my kids, I'm not even telling them anything. They're like on autopilot.
And it's funny because Alex is not the kind of coach that's like, come on, you should have gotten that. Like he's so positive.
Yep.
Like
he's so
positive and just so happy and just like
good for you, Alex.
I think he got kicked out because the other people were just like too competitive. They get
my house is the hangout. I put them all up in limo buses. I coach. It's just like I didn't have time to go anywhere because I coach 4 different teams. So my son was on 4 different teams: in-house, travel, fall ball, and all stars.
Wow, that's awesome.
I would coach from like February to November. I mean, it was literally like 7 days a week. If we didn't have a game, we practiced, and I would go to work, go to practice, go back to work. So I mean, so that's why I didn't really have too much time to do anything else, but it was awesome. Like these kids are,
I bet.
And like I was saying, my house was the hangout. And I remember one night, they would have literally sleepovers, 20 plus kids sleeping in my house. I have a pool. I mean, man.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to go to sleep, and all I hear is ring, 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 ring. One of the kids' alarms on their cell phone, and I'm like,
oh, that's frustrating.
What's your phone? Nothing. And this phone just ring, ring, ring. I don't know. It's like 6 a.m. These kids have been later. Ring, ring, ring. I finally get up. I'm like, where is this phone? I'm like, I find the phone. I open up the back door and I chuck this thing right out the back, and it lands. And literally there was a mystery of who threw this phone into the pool for like years until just like maybe a couple of years ago. And the best part is everyone's still friends. They still hang out together. And I broke the news. So I was like, whatever happened to that phone? I was like, that was me, man. You guys had this thing ringing. I told the story, and they were all laughing.
I like it. That's a good story.
It was you the whole time. Like we thought it was him and we blamed him. Like,
oh my God. That's a good story.
Yeah, and usually that's not me. I don't know. I don't know what I was feeling that day or what the hell happened, but I ended up throwing this thing out the back door into the pool.
That's a good story. Just like a hockey puck, huh? Right into the pool. I love it.
It's crazy. I didn't like think of throwing it into the play. Just it's where it landed. I was like, oh man. Next thing you know, it's cool. But yeah,
that's good. I'll tell you, that happens all the time here. Like, I'll be waking up on a Saturday and just kind of grooving out and cooling out and doing my thing. And my son, he'll not be in his bedroom, the one that still lives at the house. He'll be downstairs, like, sleeping on the couch. And I'll hear this, like you're saying, he has an alarm set. And it's so frustrating. I'll just scream at him. Turn that off. It's just like that's the worst. 6:30 in the morning or whatever. You're trying to just have a nice cup of coffee. Nobody's up. And then you got this stupid alarm going on. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely get it. I was thinking of as you were telling your pool story about throwing the cell phone in the pool, a story happened. So when I was a kid, my next door neighbor, who was a doctor, had a really nice swimming pool. And so I volunteered to do all the chemicals in his swimming pool so that I could swim in it whenever I wanted. Well, so me and some buddies were like, hey, can we, maybe have a few people over? And he had one of those real big portable stereos, like in the 80s, mid 80s, early 90s, like the big boombox. And his was nice, like big old speakers or whatever. And we're all hanging out, drinking beer, enjoying ourselves. And he's a doctor, so he's at the hospital, working a late shift. But here's the thing. It started raining and we were like dumb teenagers. And we left his boombox out there, and it just got drenched with rain, and none of us had any money. I mean, I had a grass cutting business. My other friend worked at like a factory part-time. Like everybody had like real, like low income jobs. Like we were not going to be able to pay for this dude's stereo anytime soon. Plus it would have cut into our beer budget. And, but anyway, so I wake up that morning, and you ever wake up and you wake up in the morning and it just hits you, you did something incredibly stupid. Like as you're going to bed, you didn't think about it, but as you get like, it's like, it just hit you. Like I laid up in bed and I just thought, oh crap, I left that stereo at the pool last night. It poured down rain like all night, thunder, lightning. And so I went and I got it. I took it to my parents' bathroom. I turned on the hair dryer, and for the next like 3 hours, I just had the hair dryer in the back. I didn't turn it on. I just started drying it out.
Did it work?
It did work for a little while. It worked long enough to like get it back there, but at some point it gave up the ghost. But it did like,
Yeah.
yeah, kind of like that cell phone. I bet that cell phone didn't ever work again.
No, that was it. That was it. For sure. Yeah.
Man.
I didn't feel as bad because the kid was like, you know what? He's like, I needed a new phone. It was cracked. It was it. So I'm like, okay, cool. I don't feel as bad, but it did feel good finally getting it off my chest when they were all there. I was like, you know what? Let me
oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when families get together and you have friends and stuff like that, there's going to be like little mishaps happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna, and they're funny. Like another one I think about is I remember like my mom bought me this new jacket. I was in like high school or whatever. I was so proud of this jacket. And I went over to my buddy's Tim's house and I left it there, you know, just kind of like I left the stereo outside. I just forgot it. I left it. My mom's like, hey, where's your jacket? I'm like, I think I left it at Tim's house. He'll hear this and he'll be like, John, don't be telling stories about me. And so, you know, back in the day, you get on the phone and you call up, hey, I left a jacket over at your house. Did you guys see it? No, we didn't see it. And I kid you not, this is a true story. 3 years later, about 3 years later, I was over at his house and I looked in the closet and there was my jacket.
What?
Like in his closet. But like I was this like lanky, skinny kid with like not big arms or anything. And his dad was like Mr. Popeye, right? You know, like Popeye the Sailor Man, great big muscular arms or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I got my jacket back, but man, was it jacked up. Like, you know, yeah. Yeah. You think it like a members only jacket with like the elastic sleeves. Oh yeah, no, it was more like a curtain on me after that man had worn it, you know. So it happens.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah,
just this weekend we were over.
Yeah,
my mom called me Saturday. She's like, Alex, we're gonna have some tamales tomorrow. You know, why don't you stop by? You know, I figured my brothers were gonna be there.
Yeah.
My one of my brother's kids was not doing good, and then my other brother, his kid was sick too, so they ended up not coming. So it was just us, and like Jamie said, you know, I have my oldest kid is with you know, with another girl, whatever, and Jamie and her really good friends, and we watched. So she had a daughter. She's got a 3-year-old daughter. So now I have my little stepdaughter. And
we were watching her. We brought her over.
Yeah, so she was like, hey, can you know, is it cool if her name is Demi? Hey, can Demi come over? You know, Demi wants to see the kids. I'm like, yeah, of course. You know, we want to see her too. So she came over and we took her to my mom's house. And so, you know, we hung out over there for a little while. And then Vanessa, which is my oldest mom's name, she was like, hey, I'll just come to the house. I'll come say hi to your mom and pick up the baby. I'm like, yeah, no problem. So she comes in and she was doing some work on her house. She's got a pretty big house and she's redoing some bathrooms and had some people. She had to run to Home Depot to get some material. So she's like, you know, I threw on this flannel and, you know, she kind of looked like, you know, she was doing some work herself. And it was funny because she comes in and, you know, my stepdad's there and she's saying something about her it was like a flannel.
Saying that she was like dressed down. She's like, oh my goodness, I just went in this raggedy old thing, like type to the store.
Like, oh yeah, I got this raggedy flannel on.
Yeah.
And then I start laughing because I'm like, you know whose flannel that is, right? Because she's like, yeah. She's like, it's Dre's, my son. She's like, it's Dre's flannel. And I was like, well, here, I gave it to Dre. I said, and I got it for my stepdad. And my stepdad's sitting there the whole time, and she's talking about how it's raggedy. And she's like, oh my God, this is yours. Like, what? She's like, man, it's like laughing. 4 down, hand-me-down thing. Like, we all start laughing. She's like, oh my God, I could have died.
And we all start laughing. And then she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, I'm so comfortable. I'm like, yes, and you don't look raggedy at all,
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, I'm so embarrassed. I can't believe it's his. Like, and I said that. And
so we laughed.
Like, it's okay. I'm like, he doesn't want it. That's why he gave it to me. And I gave it to him. And now you're wearing it.
It's like, note to self, if you get clothes from somebody, don't call them raggedy in front of them when you wear them.
Not a good idea, right? Not a good idea.
No.
Sounds like she was sporting the Nirvana vibe.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of like what it was.
Yeah,
yes,
for
the grunge look.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, nothing wrong with the grunge look.
I don't really know too many labels, but I do remember that because that was when I was growing up. So
yep.
I do remember.
Yep. I remember that as well. Well, hey guys, this is the time of the show where you guys get to promote your amazing real estate business, and this is a time where I'm just quiet and let you guys say everything you want to tell everybody about your business.
Go ahead, Jane.
Well, we are Corona Realty Group, also known as Corona Homes Team under eXp Realty. Alex and I have ran a real estate company for a decade now. Can't believe it. You can
awesome.
find us.
This December 4th will be 10 years. We're super excited.
Just south of Chicago. We're Chi-Town.
Yeah, we got
yeah.
events. Every month we have an event for the community, and this month we got pictures with Santa. We got a really cool Santa. He actually does. He's Santa Claus at the White House. So I mean, that's how good this guy does. He actually gets
really.
Yes. So he's Santa Claus for the White House. So he'll be here.
Wow.
We're allowing people to bring their pets. I don't care what they got. They can bring a horse if they got one, and we're going to set it up, take cool pictures with the family. We got letters going out from Santa to the kids. So any kids that want to register, or parents that want to register the kids, and we'll get them a really cool letter. Really looks like it comes from the North Pole. And next month we have an event called the Taste of Blue Island. That's going to be on our 10-year anniversary. We have it every single year. We opened up our office on that date because there's a big, huge community event. There's a light parade. There's all this stuff for Christmas time. And it's always on the first Saturday of every December, like the first Saturday in December. So we have a big event. We're going to have, right now we got 22 restaurants registered to be here. We buy food from all the restaurants in town. They're all from the same town. And that way we can help promote them, help them grow, help get them out there as well. Because we really specialize in helping the community, helping individuals and businesses grow. And when I show up to these businesses to ask them, to let them know, like, hey, it's that time of the year again. This is the 7th annual one that we've done in a row. So this is the 7th year. And, when they see me coming, they already know, I'm going to be buying some food. I sit down and meet with them. And I also give them some game on how to, help their business. And I also, have different packages for them that I can help them out with. I'm like, here, if you guys need some help with some stuff, because, we're here to help. I have a marketing team, and I get pointers on how to get their business out there. Some of these restaurants, they don't even have pictures of their food. Something as simple as that. People want to go online and see, what does their restaurant look like? We do free 3D virtual tours for the restaurants, free drone videos for the restaurants, businesses. It doesn't matter. We want to help businesses grow. That stuff costs me money, but I don't care. I want to do it for my heart. To show them, and most importantly, they see our marketing online. They see how we built our machine. And now, when I'm letting them know, like, hey, maybe you could do this, and I have all these ideas for them, they really listen. Right now we're making like comic books of the town, and we're creating people. It's kind of like The Simpsons, so we could create Jamie into a cartoon, and myself and anyone, and people around the town, and we're creating different comics out of a cartoon map of the whole town. So that way, we can, pass those out. And we're really community driven. We want to help as much as we can. We want to help the community network with each other. So that's why these events are not just for our clients. They're for everyone. I don't care. You could bring the dog. We literally have dog bones for the animals. Like we want everybody to be a part of this.
I hope someone brings their horse.
Yeah. I really,
When we started our company, our slogan is where community meets real estate. So I think that really defines who we are and what we do. We try to bring the community together, help small businesses grow. We know how it's a roller coaster, so we want to help them as well.
What's weird is like I don't even know how that slogan even came about. I don't even know how I thought of it, but like everything just started falling into place, and it was just like, wow, I had like this picture in my head, and it always comes out better. I always plan for something, and
that is so neat.
And every time, like I said, it happens better than even what I thought. But
that is so neat. I'm a bit of a motivational speaker, and the fact that you guys are like giving so much to the universe and not actually asking for anything, like the reciprocity, is huge. The multiplier effect that you get. Like,
you have no idea. I feel it every day. God is so good.
Yeah, man, that is awesome.
My heart's full, and he's always coming through for me, and you couldn't be more right. It's all about just giving and not expecting anything in return. And before you know it, I was just at a restaurant a little while ago, and I tell my guys, it's all about building those relationships, and instead of going through the drive-through, go inside these places, meet some people. You never know who's going to be in there. Mm-hmm. And if you're in your car hiding out and you're ordering and you're in a hurry, and yeah, that's cool. But go inside these places. And I've been to this restaurant, I don't know, 50, 60 times. And, when I go there, everybody says hi to me. And, I never push the real estate thing on them. I bring them pens, I bring them some pop sockets. I'm always, bringing them some swag everywhere I go. I'm always, just leading with value. And today the cashier was like, hey, I got a question for you. She's like, I follow you on Facebook, and I saw you just posted about how you could buy a house with no money down. Is that true? And I'm like, yeah, it's true. I'm like, of course it is. And I'm like, why? What's the problem? She said, I just don't know about my credit, and I don't know if I should run it. And I was like, girl, come see me. I was like, I'm a credit expert. We'll figure out what you got to do. The last thing I want you to do is feel scared. And, I'll show you exactly what you got to do to buy a house. And she's like, he wants to buy a house. And then he turns over and is like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, do you know who I am? He's like, oh, of course I know who you are. He's like, yeah, I want to buy a house. I said, well, let me guess. You're scared too. And he's like, oh, I'm terrified. He's like, I don't know. I don't even know where to begin. And I said, well, you know me.
Yeah.
You start right here with me. When do you want to come in? So I set an appointment with him. And then as soon as I do that, he turns around and he looks at the kitchen, and like 8 guys are like looking out of the kitchen. And I'm like, let me guess. Oh, you guys want to know how to buy a house. And they're like, I'm like, okay, well, here, I could come back here, when you guys are off work, and I can do a little
love it.
Guys to, get you guys schooled on how to buy a house. I'm like, all right, yeah. So, it's all about those relationships and building those values. And sometimes, it takes a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years for something to hit. But if you're not planting these seeds, and you're not getting yourself out there, and you're not putting this energy, I call it abundant energy, into the universe, forget about it. You got to give it away in order to receive, baby. You got to give it away.
I agree. Man, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
That's awesome though, Alex. It kind of reminds me of my granddad. When we used to go out to eat, he would always give the waiter or the waitress. Back then it seemed like there were more waitresses than waiters, but he would always give them his pen. Like, always had a pen. Not kind of had a pen. He always had a pen with the name of his business and his phone number on it and address. And he might even spend some time, talking up what he had on special that week. My granddad was not afraid to sell.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
And if you're, the fear will hold you back. You can't be scared. You gotta be fearless. What's the worst that could happen? Nothing. Nothing.
Right. Yeah. You're not going to die. I don't know if you guys have seen some of my Facebook stuff, but I'm a huge Evel Knievel fan. And, Evel Knievel used to have to get his motorcycle going 90 miles an hour and go ramp to ramp. And a lot of people don't know this about when you go 90 miles an hour on a motorcycle. If you miss the landing ramp and you stay on your motorcycle, you will break your back.
Yeah.
And probably be paralyzed. So hitting the first ramp is only part of the problem. You got to hit that second ramp. If you fly over the second ramp because you have the wrong speed, you just do it wrong, you're going to break your back. So breaking a leg is a lot better than breaking your back or breaking an arm or whatever. But I just think about that because like that's the ultimate asking for yes, like when you think about sales, like he's saying, yes, God, let me please make it. But like when we ask for yes in sales, it's not like we could break our back or break an arm or break a leg or whatever. I just think of it as like the ultimate, risk that you and I really don't have. So I don't know. I just kind of use that as a kind of a word picture. I'll go ahead and promote what I do. I am Jon the Sales Warrior Sansone. I've been professionally selling successfully for 34 years. What can I teach you? How to prospect, present, follow up, and most importantly, how to close. I have a 3-day masterclass that includes inspiration, motivation, and the mental tools to succeed in business and sales. My course includes worksheets, audio, video, and can be taken in 30 action blocks. Also included, how to have greater confidence. My course should be $400. If you get it today, $29.95. And included my book for free. Once purchased, you'll get free monthly inspiration from me. Just go to saleswarriorinspire.com and order yours today. That's it. Back to the show.
So yeah, that sounds great, Jon. That's amazing.
That is great value.
Yeah. Hey guys, thanks a lot. It comes from the heart. I'm just trying to give back, really. I just feel like there's so many people out there and they're not speaking from experience. And so like when we think of our kids and people we know, they really need to have, like, I call it real world wisdom. So that's just kind of what I'm trying to impart. But wow, what a great show. You guys are a fun couple.
I got one question for you before we
Oh yeah, absolutely. Alex, go ahead.
If there's a kid that's listening to this and they're thinking about getting into sales, what would you tell them?
Well, I'd like to tell them to buy my book, immediately. But what I would tell them is foundationally, if they're thinking about going into sales, they should read Zig Ziglar's book, See You at the Top. I think it came out in 1975. It is an invaluable foundational book for people in sales. I mean that, and then two, if you truly want to go into sales and you want to be successful in sales, whatever industry you go into, you need to get mentored by somebody, and at the very least go to lunch with like the biggest closer in the office, whoever that is. Any sales gig I've ever had, the first thing I do is they're hiring me is I ask, who's the biggest closer in the office? And they tell me, and then I walk up to the biggest closer in the office once I get the job, and I'm like, I'm going to take you to lunch today if you're available. If not today, let me know when you're available. I want to buy you lunch. And then I just go there with a yellow pad and pepper them with questions. And I just take notes. It's just like, you got to get your ego out of the way. If I could share anything with anybody, what's that?
I have to tell you that.
Put your ego out of the way.
I was just about to say that because I was about to say, hey, that sounds like, you got your ego out of the way, because most people wouldn't do that. Their egos would stop them.
I know.
Closer and ask them, hey, I'm a little vulnerable here. Can I get some help? They'd rather, I know everything. Or, that's the most dangerous thing ever to me, is when somebody doesn't seek out information or training or think they know everything. It's like, man, all I want to do is keep growing and learning. To me, it's like, you're not growing, you're dying inside. You're just like, you gotta be, you gotta want information. There's always a better way, and that's why I'm asking you a couple of questions, because I have one more for you. So,
oh yeah, go ahead, Alex.
I wanted to get somebody to read, right? Because I read every day, and to me, it's like that's something like so like basic to me. It's like,
yeah,
you read. Who doesn't read? But guess what? Nobody does. How do I get somebody to pick up a damn book and actually want to read? Like, how do I do that?
Okay, so in order for somebody to do something, they have to it has to link to being positive for them. Like, they have to see it as being positive. Like, for me, reading's always been like taking a break from sales. Like, I don't think of it as like sales. Like, I love to read, so it's not hard for me to read at all. But
I love it.
Like,
I get mad. I got to go. I'm like,
oh yeah. Like, at some point tonight, I'll be reading again. I mean, I'm reading a book right now, and I read a lot of biographies. I've read over 100 biographies. I don't know how many documentaries. Like, if we got into it, I could tell you the most obscure information about all the famous people you can think of. Like, I know it because I've been in sales for 34 years, and you just cannot sit there and think about your deals day in and day out. You need something that like balances you. Something else you're interested in. And when you and what you find out as you like further your education of the world, and I'm not talking like education like geometry and geology. I'm saying like education of like people and their lives and real historical events that have happened. And when you deepen your knowledge of this stuff, it makes you more interesting to your prospects and your clients. You can talk about in length about things that are, important to them that have nothing at all to do with business. But your question for me was, how do you get somebody, you got to link it to something positive. Like they got to see it as, being positive. And start out with like a little goal. Like you want somebody to read. So you say, okay, read 10 minutes a day. I'm not asking you to read 30 minutes a day. It's like sales. You got to minimize it, right? I'm not asking you to spend $1 million with me today. I'm not asking you to spend $500,000 a day. I just want you to spend $100,000. Doesn't that sound fair? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, well, 100,000 doesn't sound bad. Yeah, I'll get started with that.
Yeah, it's more reasonable.
Yeah, it sounds much more reasonable. Oh, but yeah, what you got to do is you just got to get them to link that activity with something positive. And I don't know what that is. Sometimes what you got to do is the person has to learn to reward themselves. I'm trying to teach that like to people I coach and in my sales training. Like I do that a lot for myself. Like here's an example. Like I'm in a pretty stressful business day in and day out, kind of like you guys are. And at some point I go and get a professional massage. At some point I hit the gym. At some point I get on the lake and get in my kayak or my motorboat and go relax. Like at some point I'm always giving myself like something to look forward to. Like, something fun. Maybe my wife and I on a Wednesday night are going to watch our favorite show together at 8:00 or whatever. Like you got to constantly give yourself something to look forward to. So the question is, how do you get somebody to read? Well, you start out small. So let's just, all of us just read 10 minutes a day out of Jon's book. And, oh, did I say that? And then, link it to something positive that, maybe is a positive activity. So if you do that consecutively in a row for 5 days, go get a scoop of your favorite ice cream on that Friday or whatever, because you did that. Like, and then they link it like this activity is leading to something I want. Because what you're trying to do is get them to, something they don't want to do, but it leads to something they want. And if you can get somebody to understand, oh, I got to do something I don't want to do, but it leads to something I want. It's kind of like in sales, cold calling. Like cold calling is horrible for people. However, it leads to the pot of gold. So people don't want to do it, but what it leads to is super positive. So that's it.
The reason I do so well is because I read. The reason I have so many sales and I do have the knowledge, just like you said, people want to hear me speak. When I'm with my clients, they don't even want to leave. They're like, damn, dude, tell me some more about what I can do to better my life and, or how I can be more efficient or, it doesn't matter. Whatever their problems are, I got solutions on solutions for them. And it's not that, I made this shit up. I read it. It's like, dude, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Like, what do you like? Yeah. But how do I, that's why I needed to know, because I feel.
Yeah. I can give you some examples too from like when we were raising kids, like it was my job to take the kids to this woman's house that would ultimately take our kids to the school. Like they couldn't walk to the school. So the woman, my wife's friend, had to take them to the school. So, but I had to get them out of bed because I had to drive an hour to work. And so And so in order to get him to bed, what I told him was, or get out of bed, I'm sorry. What I told him was, if you and your brother every morning can get up, the first time I call you, start getting ready for school, get downstairs and get in the car without a lot of flack, on Friday, every Friday, I'll buy you donuts. And then I hung that over their head. Like the entire time I hung it over their head. And the other one would get the other one out of bed. They didn't want to miss out on donuts on Friday.
That's a good one.
Yeah, donuts in the morning in their
yes.
I'm going to use that.
Exactly. So it's not like, hey, get out of bed. No, it's like if you there's a carrot there. Get out of bed, because if you do consecutively, Dad's going to get us donuts. Come on, idiot. I would hear them. Like they would manage each other to get the donuts. And that's kind of what you got to do if you use donuts as like a word paradigm or whatever. Get somebody to do something that leads to the donuts or whatever they want, whatever the donut is for them. That's how you motivate people. And money sometimes doesn't motivate. Significance motivates. When my kids were little, I had the Darth Vader Award. That's kind of funny. I should write a children's book on this. But the Darth Vader Award was the kid that cleaned his room the best. And they wanted that Darth Vader Award. Like I printed it off like Darth Vader, off the printer, and put their name on it. Oh, man, and put that up on their bulletin board. The other one was jealous when the one got the Darth Vader Award. The other got the Luke Skywalker Award. Darth Vader was a much better award.
You're saying, dude, literally.
These are golden nuggets. I've never heard that.
I do a lot of similar things, but you're taking it to that next level.
Yeah.
That's what I need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's one. As younger parents, you're going to love this. What's that?
I'm putting all of this into place. So keep going.
Okay. Well, here's one. As younger parents, you're going to love. So when my wife and I wanted to sleep in, we would have a contest between our two boys, and the first one that got out of bed and turned the TV on lost. Like we were trying to condition our kids to sleep in. And it worked the same way. Be like, don't get up. Stay in bed. I can't remember what the carrot was. Like it was something though. And it's been a while, but yeah, I was constantly like, my kids were like Pavlov's dog. I got to figure out like how to manage them.
That's good.
That's really good.
So
that's
good.
really good. Because I know I'm kind of on the same thing. I want to make sure I manage them and the good thing about them, they work together. They're in tandem.
Sounds like it. Sounds like you got good age group too to like have them manage themselves.
They're definitely old enough. They're ready to go.
Yeah.
All these
that's
things
awesome.
Yeah. I can't wait to create an
going,
award.
Come on, Antonio.
We're gonna do the Yoda one. They really like Yodas.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I'm gonna make a.
I can't remember. I read it in some book, and it said that people will do much more for significance than they will for monetary gain.
Yes,
You're absolutely
And
right.
you see it all the time. Do what?
I do it every day. I don't even tell them. I'm like, but it gives me energy. You stay in that production quadrant. Yeah, it doesn't make me any money, but
right.
It gives me, and eventually, business will come. But
absolutely,
a lot of things I do don't make a damn thing. They actually cost me money. So
yeah. Well, your employee that you make like employee of the month or whatever, because they close so many houses. I mean, that person, when they get with their significant other, they are feeling like on top of the world. If they got a commission check for $100,000, that's not much different than $10,000. Like when you start getting large amounts of money, or money is money is money. I mean,
nothing. It's like yeah.
At some point, it means no different to them. Like the person making $500K a year and the person making 120. Yeah, they're driving different cars, living in different houses. But like when they get with their spouse, they don't put two and two together. But when they're salesperson of the month, are you kidding me? Or of the quarter or whatever, that's significance. And then their spouse looks at them, or their significant other looks at them like, you're really doing good in your job.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're really taking care of the family. Like it's hard, I think, for most people to, It's just the way we're built because they've been putting stars on our papers our entire life. So you get to be an adult, you still want a star and a smiley face.
Yep.
Getting back to the schools out.
Yeah.
So probably need to wrap the show. Blast having you guys on. I'm glad you dig my
I
stuff.
appreciate the advice. I'm glad I
Yes.
asked a few other questions before we got off of here, because that
Oh,
was,
do you want to ask me any more?
Oh,
you got any more for me?
no, I mean, those are amazing.
Yeah, I think.
Okay. Well, hey, I'd encourage you guys to buy my course for yourself and for your for the people that work for you, because you guys could get together and dissect my stuff together, and it takes all the stress off of you guys. Like, it's not coming from you, it's coming from me. And I just think it's so much more powerful. Like, when I get with a sales manager and they like tell me something to do, the first thing I think to myself, and not necessarily you, Alex, I'm just saying me as a sales guy, is the first thing I say to myself is, you've never done my job, dude. Like, not even for 3 years, and I've been doing it for 34 years, and you're trying to tell me how to do my job. But if you go in there and you say, hey, John's been doing this stuff for 34 years, and he says this, and he says this, and he teaches this, and he's used that, and blah, 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 blah. Well, now the monkey's on my back, and it's just so much more powerful, like, to teach from, somebody else's information. I mean, that's something I've always done in sales, is blame it on somebody else. Like, I call somebody up and they're like, why are you calling me? And I'm like, well, my company, did a search and said you'd be a good person to call. Really? Why'd your company think that?
Yes,
I blame it on my company.
in real estate deals, I feel like it's always easier to negotiate as a third party.
Yes.
Always. So that's amazing advice. I love it.
For sure.
Yeah, because it takes all that personal, stress or whatever off, blah, blah, blah. And using the bandwagon theory, like, everybody's doing it. It was, really good in the 1800s, and it still works today. Like, oh yeah, well, we've been talking to other people that are looking for houses with no money down right now. In fact, our phone's been ringing off the wall with that. I'm glad we had a little bit of time today that we could, scoot you in so we could have a little bit of time to talk about it. Because I don't know how much extra time I'm going to have. Things are really getting busy.
Sales warrior. I hear it.
I'm telling you, that's how you do it.
So good.
Yeah, it's all good. All right. Well, hey, guys, great having you on. Another awesome episode. This was the Thanksgiving episode of Schools Out 80s Comedy Storytime, 4 years running.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, Alex and Jamie. So awesome to have you on. Probably going to have you guys back, and you'll probably have even more fun stories from your business life and your family life to share with everybody. So go ahead again, Alex and Jamie, say goodbye to everybody at Schools Out 80s.
Bye, guys. Thanks, John, for having us.
Awesome. And John, awesome. Yeah. And John, the sales warrior from Dallas, Texas. Cheers, everybody.